This is Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI. It's time for Woody's Home and Garden Show, or Woody's and Artie's. Woody's and Artie's.
That's right.
Woody and Artie's.
Hi.
It's more Woody's Home and Garden Show because I know absolutely nothing about home and gardening.
Yeah, well, you got one. That's all it takes.
That's true.
You got a home and you got a garden.
All right. Good morning, folks.
You're looking good today, Artie.
Oh, right back at you.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of hard to be this good looking.
All of our fans are outside the radio station.
I know.
Pounding on the window.
I have to, when I get here, I have to lock the car. They rock it back and forth trying to get in.
Is that what they do?
Yeah,
oh, my gosh.
It's awful.
Oh, my gosh.
And that's just the guys. That's not the girls.
Well, folks, we do this every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. with a big smile on our face.
You bet.
We're broadcasting live from Dixie State University, and we would like to thank our good friend Sean Denovan, who is over the radio department here, radio and communications department here at Dixie State University. Thanks, Sean, for letting us do this show. This is great.
Yay, Sean.
We're doing this live every Saturday morning. Of course, you can stream us live on Facebook, also on YouTube. Facebook is a great way to interact with us. You can also email us. It's radiostgeorge@gmail.com. That's radio ST George, Radio St. George at I messed up. radiostgeorge@gmail.com. You can also call or text us. It's 435-879-4100, 435-879-4100. Woody and I were talking off the air about my little home project. Home repair. Yep.
You've noticed that we changed the name of the show a little bit and added home in there.
Yeah.
And so we're thinking that if people have questions about home repair, little things that need to be done and they're not quite sure how to do it, they can call and we'll try to help them. I'm not a licensed contractor, but I've done.
But you play one on the radio.
I've for years and years and years. And I worked for 5 years as a handyman. So I think we can help you a little bit, to do those things. But Artie had a project. Tell them about your project, Artie.
Well, I noticed that in the living room, water was leaking and coming through the ceiling. So that's actually not a good thing.
No.
And I realized, wow, the culprit must be one of those satellite dishes that was installed on my roof. And there was an internet company that put their satellite up, and when they took it down, I don't think they plugged the holes. So, of course, I'm not going to, name the satellite company because I don't want them to look bad.
No, we wouldn't want to do that.
Actually, an internet company. And then another satellite dish, according to the insurance guy, was the culprit of the leak. Either that or right above the satellite dish, I had a little vent where the satellite company ran their cord up into, and I think the vent cover didn't completely cover the whole entire area. So with Woody's wonderful assistance, he lent me a ladder and a whole bunch of tools, and I climbed up on the roof, and I got some caulking material and basically filled in the gaps of that vent. Also,
you didn't have any trouble sliding off the roof.
Oh my gosh! I'm so lucky I'm alive because I slid a couple times. Actually,
did you?
It was kind of freaky. But of course, I got a very inexpensive caulking gun, and I've never caulked before, and so I didn't realize. Oh, you did tell me. You did tell me to prepare the caulking gun, you need to pierce a little hole.
Little foil.
Yeah, of course I didn't do that.
Right.
So I got the caulking stick, into the gun, and then I started I grasped the handle and started to maneuver it and caulk it, and it bent up on me because it was a cheap caulking gun.
Yeah.
So it was made out of aluminum.
And that plunger comes down as you work the handle. And, and if the foil is still in the other end, there's nowhere for it to go.
And that's why I bent a cheap caulking gun.
Yeah.
And so what I did, it was kind of a mess. So what I did is that since I ruined the caulking gun, I got a hammer, the handle of the hammer, and I stuck it down the caulking tube and pushed it out.
Oh, boy.
Yep. So that was my big story.
So you have a new caulking gun. It's a hammer.
Yeah, exactly.
You've invented a new product.
But you know what, folks? Yeah, that's not fun. That's not a good thing to have happen is water seeping through those holes.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
Because it does a lot of damage before you ever see it.
Absolutely.
It's inside your attic and all that kind of stuff before you ever see it.
It's a big mess.
Yeah.
Well,
now, how about the sheetrock inside? Are they going to take care of that?
Yeah, there's a construction crew that's coming in on Monday. So, I mean, that's a lot of money. So that's not fun.
It's a good thing you have insurance.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, it's the Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI Woody's Home and Garden Show. And let's get going. What are you talking about today?
Well, last week we started talking about lawns. I'd like to finish that subject.
Absolutely.
And we talked about preparation for the lawns that would be really nice down 4 or 5 inches if you had a layer of clay, but not everybody has that. And it's not mandatory, but it's just a good thing. Mm-hmm. And then you want to get some decent soil in there, and then you want to pack it down with a roller, one of those you rent or you borrow, and you fill the drum full of water so that it's heavy, and you roll it out, make it nice and flat.
Or I could use my stomach.
Yeah, and I think we forgot to talk about. Hopefully, if you have a sprinkler system, it's already installed, because you don't want to grow a nice lawn and then trench it for sprinklers.
Yeah.
So you want to get that done first. And excuse me. So, and then we were going to talk about we talked about sod, but for the sake of the discussion, we're going to seed the lawn with lawn seed, and we talked about the types of lawn seed: the fescue, the tall fescue, the fine fescue, the rye, and so on. There was one item that I thought about afterwards that I like to do. Some people don't care for it, but I like to put some clover in with the lawn seed.
So there's a separate seed for clover only?
There is. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's about, it comes in 1 pound packages, and if you have 10 pounds of lawn seed and you put 1 pound of clover in there, that's about right. And then it just mixes. The clover seed is a little teeny round seed, and the lawn seed is an elongated seed.
And why do you recommend clover seeds?
Well, clover does some beneficial things for your lawn, especially down here in the heat. Clover will actually shade the lawn when it's, the leaves are out. Mm-hmm. And clover has, down in its root system, it has nitrogen-fying bacteria, which is the fancy way to say it actually produces nitrogen for your lawn. So your lawn will be healthier if you have some clover in it.
Oh, I see.
Now the problem that I always have with clover is if you use a weed killer on the lawn that kills broadleaf weeds, it'll kill the clover.
Oh, okay.
So, you put it in, you get it growing, it looks nice, you have some dandelions, you spray the lawn, and you kill your clover. So
that's not good. No.
So you have to be careful. You either have to go ahead and sacrifice the clover and then replant it, or, Now, know that replanting clover is not a big deal. I mean, you're not talking about replanting the lawn. The clover, you just sprinkle it here and there, and it'll come up.
Okay.
So, also in the seed mix is some Kentucky bluegrass, and that grass I think they have like 10% Kentucky blue. I'm just approximate, and it'll come up and mix in with the rest of the grass, and you won't hardly see it. But over a period of years, 6, 7 years, it'll actually take over the lawn, and the other will die out, and the Kentucky will take over. And Kentucky is a really good grass.
Now, can you start with Kentucky to begin with, or would you want to incorporate it? Or
you could, but it would be very difficult to get going.
Okay.
It kind of relies on the other grass to shelter it and things while it gets going. So anyways, we've rolled the lawn, we've planted it, and now we want to cover it to protect it while it's germinating. And the cover is usually about a 1/2 inch thick, and you can use topsoil. But if you're going to use topsoil and cover it, I can remember when we bought our first home, the landscaper come over to put the lawn in, and I watched him, and he took the topsoil and he mixed it with peat moss.
Oh.
Have you ever bought peat moss, Artie?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it comes in big bundles, and it's, like $10 for a bundle, but it's compacted really tight, so a bundle's quite a bit. But if you mix that with your topsoil, what that does is the peat moss holds the moisture in the soil, so it won't dry out as fast. Plus, it's organic matter, and as it decays, it feeds your lawn. So you mix some peat moss in with the soil, and however you're going to do it, you want to get that seed covered, and you want it covered for several reasons. The first reason is probably the birds. They love seed.
Sure. And
if you put it out there, they'll be glad to come and eat it for you. And then the other reason is that seed is a living organism, and you've got to keep it moist while it's germinating. So, you're talking about sprinkling it 3-4 times a day, especially as it gets warmer. You've got to keep it moist. Don't let it dry out completely, or the seed will die, and you won't have a lawn.
So when it's germinating like that, I guess, how long do we need to water it until we see actual sprouts? Or
a little longer than that. You need to keep it moist, because you'll see sprouts, and it'll be another week and a half before it's filled in.
Okay.
And you want to keep it moist. And then, now when I say moist, I'm talking about moist, not flooded. Too much water is bad.
And it could also wash away the seeds, couldn't they?
It can wash them away, and it can cause them to rot. There's too much moisture. And so let's surmise that you've got the lawn up and it's filling in and so on and so forth. Then you want to mow it. And the recommended height for mowing a lawn is 2 to 2.5 inches. Down here, when I start in the spring, I like a lawn, the looks of lawn that's mowed kind of short.
Oh, yeah.
So I do that in the spring, but as the weather gets warmer, I raise the height on the mower and leave it a little longer.
Oh, wow.
And what that does is it saves your water, because it doesn't dry out as quick if it's longer. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, and if you've compacted the base and done a good job of that, when you walk on it with the mower, you're not going to sink into it. If you haven't done a good job, you're liable to leave footprints in it.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I have a little corner that the lawn burned somehow. I think someone tried to put some fertilizer directly on it, and that didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah,
that was me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, I killed a little corner.
Yeah, I looked at that the other day. We need to do something different in there.
I know, but
Be a good place for an elephant statue.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, I didn't level that sod and pound it down like you recommend.
Speaking of statues, you know, I used to have my tortoise Elvis.
Elvis, yep.
Yeah. And as a memorial to him, over at Star Nursery, they have a large concrete tortoise statue.
Oh, great.
And it's big enough and heavy enough that you have to have a forklift to lift it.
Just like the real Elvis.
Oh, more so. I think it must weigh about 300 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm thinking that I need to have one of those in my backyard. Kind of memorial, you know, maybe put a name plaque
Absolutely.
to Elvis. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So anyway, we got the lawn up and we've mowed it and it starts to thicken up and life is good. The problem with lawn is that, first of all, you've got to water it, and down here you've got to water it quite a bit in the summer. And as you water the lawn, it takes the minerals and the nutrients that are in the soil, and it washes them down through, okay? So if you apply a fertilizer and spray it on, you know, a month goes by and that fertilizer's gone down and the lawn has taken what it could and the rest of it's gone down in the soil below the lawn. So, you know, you wonder, well, how come I have to fertilize 2 or 3 times a summer? Well, that's the reason for it, is that it goes down, it goes through.
And what kind of fertilizer do you use?
I use the lawn food, you know, Miracle-Gro type of stuff. Only, I think I've mentioned before, I'm cheap. So I buy at Walmart, they have the Expert brand, which is theirs. And you have that hose-end sprayer. And I bought some yesterday, and it was $6.95. And you get 4 tubes, so that's 4 applications of fertilizer.
Yeah.
And if you buy the more
expensive kind,
more expensive, it's $10.95.
Oh wow!
So you're saving $4 by just buying a different brand, and it's exactly the same stuff. And what I like about it is you can spray it on the lawn, you can spray it on your gardens, anything, and it won't hurt them. And it will fertilize them. And one other thing about that type of fertilizer, because it's liquid, it gets down to the plant root quicker than if you put in granulated fertilizer, and it has to dissolve as you water it.
So this is more effective in this desert condition.
Well, yeah, I think it is. I think it is.
Yeah, I can see how that makes sense.
Yeah. And you know, I don't like to have to get out the spreader and do the lawn, and get out something else and do the bushes, then get out something else and do the garden.
Yeah.
You know, and this you can use on your vegetables.
On everything, huh?
On everything.
Huh.
So you can put a tube of this in the hose-end sprayer and do your whole yard.
Sounds great.
Except for the house. It happens to be blue in color, so if you don't want blue stucco, I wouldn't do the house.
All right. Well, it is the Home and Garden Show with Woody and Artie on Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI. We are live on Facebook, also on YouTube. You can email us at radiostgeorge@gmail.com. You can also call us at 435-879-4100.
There's a new product that I noticed the day before yesterday when I was over in Star on Sunset, and I thought I'd mention it. It's one of those products that you see and you think, geez, why didn't I think of that? But it's a PVC stake. It's got a point on it, and it's got 1/4-inch holes all the way up the stake, And then on the top, it's got a cap,
Okay.
and they're 2 feet. I think they have 2-footers and 3-footers. And you take this outfit and you drive it down next to your tree. Okay.
So it helps with watering.
Well, yeah, and on the top of it, there's a fitting for a 1/4-inch water line.
Huh.
So you can take a 1/4-inch water line and put inside the stake, and as that stake fills with water, it filters out through the holes and feeds the tree moisture.
That's a great idea.
And I think they're like $4 or so, $5, and that's really a neat idea. When you plant a tree in the middle of the lawn and you haven't planned for it on your sprinkler system, you have a really hard time getting it watered, because to water for 20 minutes every other day is not sufficient for a tree.
Okay.
A tree needs more water less often. So this would be a good way to solve that problem.
Yeah.
Plus, you can also, put some nutrients in that water. And I thought it was pretty unique. Somebody thought about that. It's a new product.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other ideas, Artie?
Well, I don't know. Off the air, we were talking about the little spike things. The need for
yeah. We were talking about having your lawn aerated, and this is a time of year to do that.
Okay, and talk to us why that's important, or
what
does that do? Or...
It does the same thing for the lawn that the big spike does for the tree.
Okay,
it creates a pathway down to the root system for air and water.
Oh,
and so there's several kinds of aeration, but most of the time, the average homeowner doesn't have a machine that does that.
Sure.
So the landscapers will come and charge you $30, $40 to aerate your lawn.
Yeah, someone wanted to do mine for $35. So,
and they have a machine that has a roller on it, and the roller has spikes, and as the spikes go over your lawn, they cut a plug out of the lawn and bring it up. And the plug's about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, and it's a good thing for your lawn. It really is, especially if your lawn is an old lawn. Like mine's getting to be fairly old, because I've been in there for 25 years, and that's a fairly old lawn. Now, if your lawn is 2 years old, you don't need aeration.
You don't?
Yet. No. The other thing that they like to do is power rake your lawn, which is, it's a machine, but it's like taking a comb with teeth or a rake and raking out the dead grass and stuff that's down by the roots. And that's beneficial. I just don't know that if it's as beneficial as they say it is. They'd like to do all those things there, 35 for this, 40 for that.
Now, what does raking do?
Well, it just cleans the lawn. It cleans out so that the moisture and the fertilizer gets down there, and the bugs. The bugs need little highways to go on,
Yeah, okay.
and it cleans out the highways and the byways.
Okay.
So I think that's then watering. When you water a lawn, July and August are coming when you have to water every day.
Yeah.
And, you want to water like from 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. Don't water at night. You'll get mildew into it.
Is that what happens?
Yeah. And you need to water enough that, if you water, it's like if you water for 5 minutes, you've wet the top of the lawn, but you haven't done any good. But if you water for 15 minutes, it actually waters the roots. But then you've got to decide how often you need to do that. And you certainly don't need to do it every day this time of year. In fact, I don't even have my sprinkler control turned on yet because we've gotten rain and it's been cool weather and all that type of thing.
Plus, you don't want to break your lines if we have like freezing weather, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. So it's a little early for that. But, you know, one of the things that we've talked about before is staying involved with your yard and staying in tune with what's going on. So, you know, take 5 minutes, walk around the yard, look at the shrubs. You know, all of a sudden you got a shrub that looks like it's going to die. Mm-hmm. You know, if you check your sprinkler there is probably clogged or something like that. And if you fix it, then the shrub comes back. If you don't, then you've got a dead shrub.
Sure.
And so you have to kind of be involved in it. I enjoy having a nice yard so that when you have neighbors and friends and family over, that you have a nice place.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So lawn and sprinklers this time of year. This is a time of year to turn on your sprinklers initially and to run them through the different zones and see if you've gotten some sprinklers that are frozen. I had a couple of cracked pipes that I had to fix this week.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
They were out with my raised bed gardens where they're not buried, they're up above.
Okay.
Because I have the raised bed and then I bring the sprinkler up and then go down the middle with the pipe and put the bubblers.
Yeah, I saw that this last week when I came over to your house. So
it was over at my house.
Yeah, it was the raised beds. Woody has the raised beds. Also, in the past couple of shows, we've talked about the water walls around the tomatoes.
Walls of water.
And I was able to see that as well. That was actually
that's kind of
cool.
Interesting, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've never seen anything done like that.
So what he's telling you folks is that my tomatoes are out. I've got tomato plants out, but that I put walls of water around the tomato plants to protect them from the frost. And I bought my tomato plants over at Ballard's in Hurricane. And, boy, they've got some beautiful plants over there. And some really nice ones, and the prices are really good. Wonderful. And Star Nursery's going to be getting theirs in. They're kind of holding back, waiting for the weather to get warm. But they're going to have theirs in probably the first of next week. They've delayed them. They're holding them down in Las Vegas for them. So anyway, it's the busy time of year to do those things. You know, you maybe take a load to the dumps. You pick up stuff that's accumulated around the yard. I'm kind of in the process of doing that right now. And this is the time of year that you trim trees. I did some tree trimming yesterday. Okay. And then when I get it all trimmed and down, then I load up the trailer and take it over just to the green recycling facility.
Off of Burkham Road?
Yep. Okay. That's a great place. That's a great place. You can take anything in there that's organic, green, you know, like lawn clippings, bushes that you've trimmed, trees, and, you know, dump it. It doesn't cost anything, and the city takes it and runs it through their machines and makes mulch out of it.
You know what else doesn't cost anything at all?
What?
Throwing it over the fence.
Oh, yeah, on your neighbor's lawn.
Yep, my lawn chair lady that lives next door that likes to sit in her lawn chair with binoculars.
Did you cover her with lawn clippings?
Oh, she's a snowbird, so she actually leaves in, I think, March or April?
You're looking forward to it, aren't you?
Yeah, so, yeah, she comes back, and in the fall, it's like, Artie, there's all this trash in my yard. Oh, and I
I
respond
wonder
by,
where that comes
well,
from.
I just tell her it must have been the wind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I just, I don't go to the
And then-
landfill thing.
And then pretty soon there's a St. George policeman knocking on your door.
No. She's gullible.
Oh, she hasn't figured it
No,
out yet.
she hasn't. Yeah, and I buried the bodies next door too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Ah,
We're going to do some work on Artie's place here in a couple of weeks.
I need some help.
I know you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not that bad, is it?
No, it's
Okay,
not
okay.
that bad.
All right.
But, those signs out front with the radioactive stuff, that's kind of
That's
bad.
not good, huh?
Yeah, that's bad. So let's see. So we got our lawn in. We're watering it. We're gonna check our sprinklers, make sure if they froze or any of that kind of thing, and you can adjust the sprinklers. It's one of those times when you put on some old clothes because you're gonna have to stand in the sprinklers
Oh, my
as you
gosh, I
adjust
did
them.
that.
Yeah.
That's not fun.
And you get those things adjusted. And then this is the time right now that you should have inside your house on your table. My wife always likes it when I put these seed starting kits on the table.
Oh yeah.
And they're full of water. And, this is, if you're going to start stuff inside, and there would be tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, beans. If you're going to start all that, right now is when you should be doing it. So you can find the seed starting kits at Star, at Walmart, at just about, Home Depot, Lowe's. They all have those seed starting kits.
So yeah. You
Now,
get those wet, you plant them, and they germinate. And
there are some. I'm familiar with the burpee ones, obviously, and they have a pellet of coconut fiber. If it says 72 cells, they have 72 slots, and each one of them has a pellet in it, and the pellet's about 3/4 in diameter and about a 1/2 inch thick. And you pour water in that cell, and that thing will swell up and fill the cell.
Oh.
And it's a really good medium, they call it, to put your seed in. And then Burpee also has a self-watering kit that you only have to put the water in once a week.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It has
cool.
a mat that goes underneath the cells, and it lays down in the water, and it wicks the water up and keeps the cells wet. So they work really well. Now, the less expensive kind, a lot of them don't have the
little pellet thing.
the pellets, and you have to have some soil to put in there to plant your seeds.
So pellets are ideal. Are they more expensive?
Yeah, the burpee ones are more expensive.
But you get what you pay for, though.
Yeah, you do. And I think the burpee ones are quality enough that you can use them year after year, where the others, I'm not sure they'd last like that. And and another tip is, you have 72 cells, and they're in rows, and I'm going to put my tomatoes here, and I'm going to put my squash over here. It's a good thing to take a piece of paper and write that down and make a little map. Otherwise, about a week into it, you're going to look at it and say, which rows were my tomatoes?
That's true.
Which rows were my cabbage, And then as you're gonna have that going for 2 to 3 weeks, and then you're gonna have plants about 2-3 inches high.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and you got this little plug of soil on the bottom.
Yeah.
And when the weather's right, you can take them outside. They recommend that you harden them, and you harden them by taking them that seed starting tray.
Okay.
Tray, there we go, that's the word. The tray, and you put it outside and let it sit outside during the day, and then at night you put it back inside when it gets cold. and that hardens the plants up to gradually get used to the outside temperatures.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So that's something that you should be doing. The peas you should be putting in, and they go directly in the soil outside.
Do they?
And that should be they should be growing right now. Carrots you can have in right now, radishes, cabbage. Those things can all be in right now. So if you're sitting and waiting for the good weather to come, you're getting behind the 8-ball.
Well, we had 2 weeks of snowstorm and heavy rain, and now we have 2 weeks of dormant activity, and then we're going to have summer.
Yeah,
we might have a day or two of spring.
We might. We already had that.
Yeah,
this is fall.
Oh, this is fall.
Spring was that week a couple of weeks ago when it was warm.
Okay.
I was going to mention, not necessarily to plug these businesses, but Walmart has their soil and their compost out in their parking lot where they unload it and they get ready to sell it. Mm-hmm. It's sitting out there on pallets, and I went over and bought 20 bags of topsoil.
Yeah.
And a bunch of compost, and it's all wrapped up on these pallets. So you have to go into the cashier and you have to ask them to get out their garden book. They have a garden book with all the information in, and then you tell them how many you want, and they charge you for them. Mm-hmm. And then you take your receipt and you go outside, and there's never anybody there to help you.
Yeah.
So, they say there's going to be somebody there, but, I've waited a long time, and you take your razor knife and you cut the pallet open, this wrap they put around it, and you load your 20 bags of soil into your trailer or your truck. And then I turn around with the receipt and I wave it so they can see on the camera.
Absolutely.
That I did buy it.
Well, because you've been arrested a number of times before.
I know.
For taking topsoil.
Right.
Without the
Mr.
receipt.
Topsoil thief.
Well, no, it's not that you're a thief. It's that you keep losing your receipts. You purchased the topsoil. Right. You've always purchased the topsoil, but you forget your receipts, and you've landed in jail. And if you've had to call me to bail you out, and it's just been embarrassing. So.
Yeah, that's maybe for you. I kind of like it up there. So anyway, and then when you're preparing the soil beds, you can put some compost in and put some new topsoil, and then turn it over, mix it up, those kind of things, so that it's ready. Okay.
Sounds good.
This last week, I also trimmed my grapes and got those ready. And I went through, this will make you proud of me, Artie. I went through the blackberry garden and got it all straightened up. I trimmed the stalks, and I used cable ties and put in some structure, some field fence and some poles,
all right,
and tied the stalks up so that I can actually walk through and pick berries. And I'm looking forward to a good crop of berries this year.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah. Now, remind us again what works best for you as far as berries are concerned here in this climate.
Well, raspberries is too hot here; they'll just burn up. Okay. And but blackberries, for some reason, do fairly well here. Mm-hmm. So, but the blackberry type of thing is an investment, and it takes 3 or 4 years to get it going, because as the starts are just little teeny starts, and you've got to. Walmart, when they have them out front, I think they're $5.95 for a bare root and then or if you go to Star, they'll be $7 or $8, but they're not bare root. They actually are in a pot and they've been potted.
Now, are those things that you've put in your raised garden bed or directly into the?
No, this is one that I've put this in a corner where it's just the regular soil, but it's where I've amended it for many years trying to improve the soil.
Okay.
I've put compost in there. I put peat moss. I put perlite. And let's not forget about the perlite. The perlite is really good stuff.
Now, what is that again?
Well, it's the white beads.
Oh, okay.
And if you go over to Sunrock out in the industrial area out at the end of Brigham Road,
yeah,
they'll sell you a bag that's about I don't know, 2 feet, 3 feet across and 4 feet long, full of these white beads for $8.
Really?
Yeah. And so then when you're ready to turn your soil over, you open this bag and dump a bunch in and then mix it with the soil and turn it over and get it involved. And what it does is it keeps the soil loose, and the soil needs to be loose for things like carrots and radishes because it can't be compacted down tight, and it holds the moisture in.
Oh, okay.
So it's really good stuff, and it's not much money. Now, if you buy it at a home center, you'll pay $8 for a bag about the size of a bag of sugar.
Oh, okay.
So you want to go out to Sunrock, and yeah, I buy a bag out there every spring, or not every spring, about every other, because it lasts me 2 years. So, but it's especially where you're going to put your carrots and onions and your radishes. You need to dig it in, and yeah. Oh, and the other thing that I did was I went over and bought about 20 bubblers, and I went through my sprinkler system for my raised garden and got those all adjusted and put new bubblers on them and fixed it where it had frozen.
I want to use mine this year. The last 3 or 4 years, I've just had the hoses, out there spraying,
Yeah.
And I want to actually do a raised garden or do a couple of planters. So.
Yeah, I think that'd
those
be
bubblers.
I think in your case with that yard, some planter boxes would look really nice. Or if you're doing vegetables, then do a raised garden in your backyard. Because if you do it in the front yard, here comes the lawn chair lady. She's gonna take your tomatoes home with her.
Oh, I think yeah. I think that's what she'll probably do.
Yeah. So there's a couple of other things I wanted to cover, but I guess we're not going to be at Star today. We need to tell them about that.
Oh yeah, okay. So we're going to do a little pop up eventually at Star Nursery, but I guess it's raining today.
It's raining, and Doug says that they won't have a full crowd because of the rain, and their vegetables aren't in yet. So. They have some vegetables in, but I walked out and looked at them, and it's pretty sparse.
So maybe next week or the week after.
So next week, yeah. Okay. They're looking for a nice, warm, 65-degree Saturday and having all their vegetables in. So he's kind of watching the weather forecast.
So we'll keep you posted. We're going to be out there at Star Nursery. So.
Yeah, and we're going to have autographs.
Absolutely. We charge for the autographs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course. Mine are 25 cents and Artie's are $25.
Absolutely. You got that right.
Yeah. But this is the time of year when you kind of watch the weather and keep track of especially the temperature at night.
No, I'm sorry I interrupted you. When should we start when should I start putting
Preemergent?
Yeah, Preemergent. That stuff.
I think another couple of weeks.
And that's on your grass. So tell us what Preemergent is.
Well, Preemergent just keeps actually any seed from germinating. Okay, so if you get it in your garden and then you put some daisy seeds in your garden or some coreopsis, they're not going to grow.
So
it keeps it. It's a chemical that keeps them from germinating.
So why do you want to put that on your yard then?
It's kind of like birth control for plants.
So what do you want to put that on your lawn?
Well, because then the crabgrass isn't going to grow, and the Bermuda grass isn't going to grow.
But if it kills everything, wouldn't it kill the lawn too?
It doesn't kill, no. It just stops the seed from germinating.
Okay.
It doesn't kill anything other than the seed. Okay, and that lasts for like 60 days. So actually, you kind of, if you're going to do it right, you kind of have to do it twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a spring thing, and
well,
that's it.
Most people do it in the spring, but if you do it in the spring, why about June, why you're going to start getting some weeds again because they're going to be new seeds that come and get in there.
Okay, so that's the lawn. Now, what do I do about poisoning those weeds or preventing those weeds, the other weeds from coming up?
Yeah,
and
that's
the rocks.
That's
a
herbicide, and you want to do that. I would say you've got about 6 weeks before you have to worry about that.
Really?
Yeah.
So putting a weeder,
it wouldn't do any good right now
right
because the lawn's dormant and it's so cool that if you sprayed the chemicals on it, it wouldn't take them into the plant. Okay. It's got to be an environment where the plant uptakes the chemicals, and then the chemicals make it sick and kill it. You know.
Okay.
It's kind of a sadistic thing. It's like feeding a stray cat, I've been bringing my strays over to you and letting them loose in your yard.
Yes, I've been collecting cats. I hoard cats, everybody. I have up to 73 now.
Oh, boy.
And Woody's brought some from his neighborhood over.
Yeah, and a couple of skunks.
Got a couple of skunks.
I like baby rabbits, by the way.
Oh,
they're neat.
Those are awesome.
Rabbits and ducks.
Yeah.
I love ducks. I noticed over at Thunder Junction when I was driving yesterday, there's a little rabbit that lives over there along the...
Is there?
Yeah. He lives up by the hill where you go over the bridge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I see him occasionally up there.
And just to remind folks, Woody and I are volunteers at the Thunder Junction All-Ability Park. We drive the train over there, so
yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
And they've gone through and trimmed everything, and they're getting ready for spring. They're putting out bedding plants, and it looks really nice over there.
Such a nice place.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
It really is.
If you want some gardening ideas, go over to Thunder Junction and look around.
Or call us.
Yeah.
Or our email us with the question.
Over at the park, people ask, they ask me questions like, what type of plant or what type of a tree is that? Have you received some of those questions as well?
Yeah.
And I just make things up.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What we need
That's
to
a Penelope plant.
We need to supply you with the list.
Probably should.
Yeah, and then just use any name on the list when they ask. Just pick one. Oh, that's a mulberry. No, I think that's a pineapple tree. That's a guava tree.
Or just make something up. That's that breed is a Penelope.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they're from out of town. What do they know?
Well, what else should we be planning? What else should we do during the springtime or pre-springtime during the wintertime?
Well, we talked last week for a minute, and you saw yesterday when you were at my house. I've got a bird feeder out there, and I'm getting the fountain cleaned up. We're going to get some water available for the birds because they need water.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to have the fountain going and the bird feeder, and then I'm going to get that giant tortoise from Star.
Oh, the
And
rock decoration.
Yeah, and then I'm going to put them on the rocks out there. And then I'm going to fire up my fire pit.
Yeah, it's a nice little fire pit.
Yeah. And Mama and I are going to sit out there in the evening and enjoy the day, you know.
And you really pamper those birds. You don't put just any normal type of water in there. You put the Fuji $2 a bottle, $3 a bottle Fuji brand.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, you know that I do.
You really pamper those. You're cheap.
Yeah.
You're cheap, but when it comes to bird water,
yeah,
you get the most expensive mineral type.
And like the concrete tortoise, I'm going to feed it really good stuff too. Oh, here's something that you should do right now in your garden. We talked about trees and getting diseases and insects, and I said there's this Bayer product. Mm-hmm. It's a Bayer tree and shrub treatment.
Yeah, you recommended that for my place.
Yeah,
and actually, it works really well.
And right now is when you put that on, and what you do. I think a quart is about $20, but you get a 3-gallon bucket and you fill it with water, and then you only put about 2 tablespoons tablespoons full in. And it turns the whole bucket kind of a green color.
Yeah.
And then you pour it around the tree, and it goes into the roots, and it's taken up by the tree systemically, and it has fertilizer in it, but it also has an insecticide that kills any borers or any insect that's on the tree. Because right now is when the borers are going to start.
Really?
Yeah. So, this is a great time to do it. It tells you to do it in the spring. And I do all the trees in my place, but ash trees, locust trees, your fruit trees, right now is the prime time to do it. And of course, with the fruit trees, you use a different product. Remember, Doug told us about a different product that you could use and still use the fruit off the tree. Because the Bayer, you wouldn't want to use the fruit because you die.
Okay, and that's not good.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. In fact, they tell you to not reuse the bucket.
Really?
Afterwards, yeah, even though you wash it out.
Huh.
It's, like if you licked the bucket,
yeah,
you'd be dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's bad. So, anyway, this is a time of year to do that.
Okay.
And another thing that you can do this time of year, your mower, if you're poor like me and cheap like me, I do my own lawn, and so it's a good time to take the blade off the mower and sharpen it on the grinder and put it back on, because a sharp blade mows the lawn a lot better than a dull blade.
Well, you know what? For the last 3 or 4 years, I've paid someone to come over to my house. And at Lowe's this last fall, there was a lawnmower on sale. And, of course, I thought, hey, for $200, I can just, do it myself.
Yeah.
So, and, of course, it looks like crap because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I just mow everything.
Yeah,
I've even been on my roof with the lawnmower.
Oh, now that's unusual. And in your Bermuda shorts?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I love to mow.
Yeah.
I love to mow, but I need to know when to quit.
Yeah.
Or when to slow down.
Another little trick when you mow is you want to make sure your sprinklers are low enough that you don't mow those off.
Yeah.
And
mowed a whole bunch of those.
Yeah. And that's something that can take a lot of time, going back around and replacing your sprinklers all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's about it for today, Artie.
We're throwing in the towel already?
Well, aren't we about out of time?
I think so.
Because you were about to signal me that we were out of time. I know you were.
You just want to get out of here.
No, I don't.
You're
I
throwing
like
in the
it.
towel for the day.
I like it.
You've earned your money. You've earned your money. You want to get back to your fan base that's outside.
I'm going back home and continue to clean my yard and to get the raised beds going.
And are you going to come over and clean my yard as well?
Probably. You stand out there and wait for me.
Well, lots of great advice on what we should do right now to get our yard ready for the summertime.
Yeah, and one
for the
you
year.
know, the city has a cleanup day where they put the big dumpsters around. So if you get all the stuff ready, well, then when cleanup comes, you can take over your old satellite dishes and the outhouse from the backyard and put it in their big dumpster.
And the dead bodies.
Yeah, the bodies. That's a good thing to get rid of, too.
All right, it's Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI. This has been Woody's Home and Garden Show. We do this every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Woody, thank you so much for our very stimulating program this week.
To Sean Denovan.
Yep, Sean Denovan. We want to thank Sean Denovan and Dixie State University.
He's a great guy.
Really great guy. And, folks, if you would like to email us, you can email us at any time. It's radiostgeorge@gmail.com. That's radio ST, St. George abbreviated, radiostgeorge@gmail.com. You can also drop on by our Facebook page, Radio St. George, and leave us a little Facebook, notice. Either say hi to us or ask us a question or give us some feedback about the show.
And remember that from now on, we're going to have a segment on home repair.
That's right.
If we get questions on home repair, we're going to talk about that along with gardening.
Absolutely.
You know, how to replace a switch that's burned out in your front room, or
I've had to do that.
How to fix a light out on the garage.
Yeah.
Things like that. So.
Any questions you have, please drop by our Facebook page, post something, and we'll talk to you next week. It's Radio St. George 100.3 KXDI. Goodbye, Woody.
Goodbye.